The Apprentice. Written and read by Ken Johnson. Episode 10. In the burger bar on the ground floor of the Life Science Palace, Theodore and Gresham were the only customers. They sat at a table by the plate glass window, looking out at the terrace of tiny shops that lined the opposite side of the Argyle furlong. News and fags, TV paradise, hair today, everything for dogs. "Sorry," said Gresham, "it was all they had left. Chef's taken the rest of the day off to gan on TV. He's got himself onto Sunday Superman." "How do you know that?" Theo asked. "Kate told me. Checkout operator, and before you ask me how I know, I read her name badge." Theodore read the scrap of paper which Kate had left on the tray. Healthy cheese and nut cutlet burgers on wholemeal bread, £5.23 each. "I knew I should have eaten more for breakfast. Still, I don't want to appear ungrateful. Thank you for buying it." More gingerly than necessary, Theodore bit off a piece of his healthy lunch. "Actually, it's quite nice." "Unless there's a fire, stop talking," said Gresham. "I'm thinking." Theodore turned pale. "What thought is going through your mind? Should I hide under the table? If you do, I'll steal the tomato slices out of your nut cutlet cheeseburger." "Does your nut cutlet cheeseburger have tomato slices in it?" "Nah. It's defective in manufacture. That's why I want to steal yours while you're not looking." "Have you thought of a plan A?" "Nah, but I have a plan for getting a couple of tomatoes. I can go into everything for dogs over there and say that my dog wants a tomato." "What happens if your dog doesn't eat the tomato?" "That's not a problem. I'll eat it myself." "You'll eat the dog?" "Nah, the tomato." "Forgive me if my memory is at fault, but you haven't got a dog, have you, Gresham?" "Nah, I haven't. I was just thinking out loud. So, where was I? Oh, yes. I thought, where can I get an idea for plan A?" "Lots of places," Theo considered. "The library, the genetics laboratory, the archivist, the laundrette, the Poisons Bureau. Now, look, it's nearly midday. Almost time for crime ship. See that phone over there?" There was a phone on the table near the cash desk, just in case Kate ever needed to call the police or the fire brigade. "Help, help! We're run out of steak and kidney pie. A riot broke out and one of them set fire to the toaster." Gresham stood up. "There's nobody looking." And he walked to the checkout and picked up the phone. "What's the phone number of the big TV shop?" The number was painted in big bright green numerals on the sign above the window of TV Paradise. Theodore shouted it and Gresham dialed it. After a few seconds he started to talk. "You haven't done what I told you," he said, with fake anger and in a fake posh accent. "What in God's name are you doing?" Theodore asked. "Brutus, from head office in Edinburgh," said Gresham. "That's who the hell I am." There was a pause of a few seconds while the person at the farther end of the phone said something indistinct. Then Gresham continued. "Well, read your messages more carefully. If I have to come to your house with your P45, I shall expect you to pay for the taxi. I told you to put your finest 96-inch television right at the front in the shop window and tune it to the Renfrew channel. Think you can manage that?" Gresham paused as the reply came from the farther end. "I hope so, for your sake. And one other thing, turn the subtitles on. Customers love subtitles, even the ones who can't read love subtitles. They think any words that flash on and off are a neon sign advertising low-calorie fizzy drink." Though the voice at the far end of the call was indistinct, Theo could tell that it had asked a question. "Yes, and with sales figures like yours, you'd better. Now get back to work. Good afternoon." "Oi, put my phone down." Wearing her burger bar brown overalls, Kate rushed across the room and hollered at Gresham, who immediately put the phone down and went back to sit with Theodore. "That's there so I can call an ambulance if anyone chokes on a fishbone." "Nobody's going to choke on a fishbone," Theodore called across the room, "because we're the only customers and we're not eating fish." "You're too clever by half," said Kate grudgingly. "See?" said Gresham, taking a long, slow munch on his healthy cheese and nut cutlet burger as the old shopkeeper in TV Paradise fired up a jumbo-sized television set in the shop window, where Theodore and Gresham could see it clearly. "Tell you so. Crime Ship is just starting." "I think I got lost somewhere," said Theodore. "Why are we watching Crime Ship? Is it a tense, authentic, vivid and imaginative drama set in a deceptive and malign world where nothing is what it appears to be?" "Nah," said Gresham. "It's about a magic ship that solves mysterious crimes and then throws the bad guys in jail. Typical daytime TV. It's tripe. But I tell you, I get all my best ideas while watching crime shows on TV." As Theodore watched the opening titles, he wondered whether there wasn't any wet paint that he could watch drying. Kate shouted to them from the cash desk, "Are you two watching Crime Ship?" "Yes," Theo shouted back. "Is that all right?" "Of course. May I come over there and sit with you? It's my favourite programme." Kate walked sedately over to them and pulled up a chair. "Let's be friends. Where's the telly?" "Over there, in the shop window. I'm Theodore and that's Gresham. We were students here." "Goodness me," said Kate, "that takes me back. Weren't you two caught up in that raid on the dormitories back in—" "I can't read the words on the screen from here," Theo complained in the hope of changing the subject. "This episode is called In the Sand Long Ago," said Gresham, squinting. "Should you not have gone to Specsavers like I said?" "I know this one." A smile spread across Kate's face. "This is the one where they find some ancient Egyptian artifact in a passenger's luggage and the ship takes them to an excavation in the Namibian desert in 1932 and "Don't spoil it for me," Theo interrupted. "Crime Ship is a waste of good electricity at the best of times, but watching it and knowing exactly what's going to happen would be insufferable." "How can a ship take you to the middle of a desert?" Gresham was mystified. "There isn't any water. That's the whole point of a desert." "May I tell him?" Kate asked Theo. "You may put your fingers in your ears." "Suppose the fire alarm goes off?" "You'll see me running hell for leather towards the fire escape," said Kate reassuringly. Theo put his fingers in his ears. "It takes them to a fishing port," she explained to Gresham sotto voce, "and it puts them on a camel and it gives the camel a map of where to take them." Kate turned around to Theo and mimed pulling her fingers out of her ears. Theo took his fingers out of his ears and Gresham got as far as saying, "It takes them to a fishing port on the western Mediterranean coast," before Theo yelled at him to shut up. "And camels can't read," he went on. "Ah, poetic licence," said Gresham, "with category Z for zoology." They watched the programme almost until the end. 3 midshipmen trekked to the site of an excavation in the desert in 1932. An archaeologist who was working on the excavation identified the antiquity in the luggage as the priceless handbag of a mummified ancient noblewoman containing a lipstick, half a dozen papyrus handkerchiefs, and a couple of those syrup-flavoured biscuits wrapped in plastic that the kahwas give you on the saucer with your cup of coffee. Thanks to a magic pair of glasses, which enabled whoever wore them to read and understand Egyptian hieratics, the crew restored the bag to the present heir and successor of the noblewoman, a Miss Karen Abbas, who lived in a modest 3-story residence in Alessandria and worked as a portrait photographer. So grateful was she for her heirloom that she sent its finder an international money order for 3 silver agri beads and 12 camels with gold rings in their noses. When the Egyptian police heard the tale, they were, at last, able to take an ancient file out of the cupboard, blow the dust off, and tick the box marked "Solved." The episode ended, as every episode of Crime Ship did, with Captain Rochard Bligh wearing distinguished, freshly laundered and ironed uniform, sunlit, smiling, standing behind the wheel of RMS Kildale, giving the order to weigh anchor, and saluting the harbour wall while intoning his sonorous catchphrase, "Nothing escapes the crime ship." The credits rolled. Theo was complaining, but there wasn't any crime in it, when an old man in dusty overalls, who smelled of warm Bakelite, clouds of dust, and the odour of overheated and badly tuned television sets, entered the burger bar.